The stadium held 200,000 beings from 47 different species. They all watched the same thing. A human was about to win again. Timon floated in the center of the graviton sphere. His body moved like water through the shifting gravity fields. The ball spun toward him at crushing speed. Most species would have broken bones trying to catch it. Timon caught it with one hand and smiled. Blood ran from his nose. He did not care. His opponent was a draconid named Vex. Vex stood 3 meters tall with scales like armor. He had won every game before humans joined the league. That was 15 years ago. He had not won a championship since. Timon threw the ball. It curved through 3 different gravity zones and slammed into the goal. The crowd exploded with noise. Half of them cheered. Half of them looked angry. In the stands, a human woman named Hannah watched her teammate win. She would compete tomorrow in the Void Marathon. She had won it 3 times already. Her legs hurt from training. She ignored the pain like always. The other species did not understand humans. They did not understand why humans smiled when they bled. They did not understand why humans trained until they collapsed. Most of all, they did not understand why humans seemed to enjoy suffering. A draconid official named Vex, a different one, not the athlete, stood in his private box. He watched Timon celebrate below. Vex's claws dug into the railing. His species had ruled the Graviton Ball League for 200 years. Then humans arrived and took everything. Next to him stood Mora, an Aquarian ambassador. Her species lived underwater on their homeworld. They were peaceful and wise. But even Mora felt frustrated. "This cannot continue," Vex said. His voice rumbled like thunder. "Humans win 60% of all events. Every sport, every category. It is not fair." Mora's translator device spoke for her in calm tones. "They have advantages we cannot match. Their world made them too strong, too fast, too willing to endure pain." Down on the field, Timon received his trophy. He held it high. Behind him, his human teammates cheered. There were only 70 humans competing across all galactic sports. They won more medals than species with millions of athletes. In the medical center beneath the stadium, a human sports doctor named Yuna treated another human athlete. The young man had broken 3 ribs during the thermal endurance race. He was smiling. "Did I finish?" he asked. "You finished first," Yuna said. She wrapped his chest carefully. "You also finished with a collapsed lung and severe burns." "Worth it," the young man said. Yuna had seen this 1,000 times. Humans pushed past limits that other species respected. When a draconid felt pain, they stopped. When an Aquarian reached exhaustion, they rested. When a human hit their limit, they looked for ways to go further. She understood why other species wanted humans banned. She did not agree with it, but she understood. 3 months later, the Galactic Sports Federation held a vote. Representatives from all 47 species gathered on the neutral station. The humans sent only 3 delegates. They knew what was coming. Jiwoo was one of those delegates. She had been a champion athlete before a career-ending injury. Now she analyzed sports and spoke for human interests. She stood before the Federation and made humanity's case. "We are not cheating," she said. "We follow every rule. We take no illegal enhancements. We simply come from a difficult world." Vex, the official, stood to respond. "Your world gave you unfair advantages. You have denser bones, faster healing, higher pain tolerance. Most damaging of all, you have a psychological need to prove yourselves. You treat every game like a war." "That is what competition means," Jiwoo said. "Pushing yourself to be better than yesterday, better than your opponent. If you remove that, what is left?" An insect-like being from the collective spoke next. "Participation is left. Enjoyment is left. Community is left. Sports should bring species together, not create resentment." "Resentment comes from losing," a human delegate said. "Perhaps you should train harder." The room erupted in angry sounds. Every translator device struggled to keep up with the chaos. The vote was called early. 89 species voted to ban humans. Only 3 voted against it. Humans were given 1 year to finish their current seasons. Then they would be removed from all sanctioned competitions. Taemin heard the news while training. He was 32 years old, near the end of his athletic prime. He had planned to compete for 3 more years. Now he had 1 season left. Hana heard the news during a medical scan. Her knees were deteriorating from years of abuse. She had ignored doctors' warnings. Now she had 8 months to compete before the ban took effect. Across Earth and human colonies, athletes received the same message. The galaxy did not want them anymore. The final season was bitter. Human athletes competed knowing each game might be their last. They played harder than ever before. They won more than ever before. This made the other species even more convinced that banning them was correct. The last event of the season was the Grand Championship. Taemin qualified for the Graviton Ball final. His opponent was young Draconid, who had trained specifically to beat humans. The Draconid was good, very good. Taemin won anyway. The game went into overtime twice. Taemin dislocated his shoulder in the second period. He had it reset on the field and kept playing. The Draconid was faster and stronger, but Taemin wanted it more. When the final buzzer sounded, Taemin collapsed on the field. Medical teams rushed to him. He waved them away and stood up on his own. He walked to the center of the arena and took the microphone. "You are not just banning us from the games," he said. His voice echoed through the silent stadium. "You are removing the heart of competition itself. We pushed you to be better. We made you train harder. We gave you someone to chase." He looked up at the Federation officials in their boxes. "Without us, you will have games. But you will not have glory. You will not have legends. You will have participation medals and polite applause." He dropped the microphone and walked away. Blood dripped from his nose. His shoulder hung at an odd angle. He did not look back. Hana won her final Void Marathon by 20 minutes. No one came close to her time. After crossing the finish line, she did not celebrate. She simply floated in space and looked at the stars. Other human athletes finished their final competitions. Some cried, some raged. Most just felt empty. Jiwoo watched it all from the broadcast center. She saw the end of an era. Humans had competed in galactic sports for only 20 years. In that time, they had changed everything. Records had been shattered. New events had been created to challenge them. The entire sports culture had shifted toward intensity and excellence. Now, it was over. The Galactic Sports Federation released a statement. "This decision ensures fair competition for all species. Sports will now be accessible and enjoyable for everyone, without the intimidation factor of human participation." A human coach named Dong Hyun read the statement and laughed bitterly. He had trained athletes from 6 different species. He knew what was coming. "They think sports will be better without us," he told his assistant. "They will learn the truth soon enough. We did not just compete, we inspired competition. Without that, they have nothing." But the decision was final. The ban would begin in 30 days. Humans packed their equipment and left the Federation facilities. They returned to Earth and the colonies. The galaxy prepared for a new era of sports. Fair sports. Balanced sports. Safe sports. They had no idea what they had lost. 2 years had passed since the ban. The galaxy was learning what it meant to compete without humans. Jiwoo sat in a small apartment on a frontier colony world. She watched an illegal stream of human-only competitions. These games happened in unregulated space where Federation laws did not reach. Thousands of humans had moved to these colonies just to keep competing. The stream showed a race through an asteroid field. 3 humans pushed their small craft through gaps that would terrify most pilots. One ship clipped a rock and spun out. The pilot regained control and kept racing. Jiwoo smiled. This was real competition. She switched feeds to watch the official Federation games. The difference was shocking. The same asteroid race was happening in Federation space, but the pilots took the safe route around the field instead of through it. The race took 30 minutes longer than the human version. No one crashed. No one took risks. The commentators called it a perfectly executed safe race. Jiwoo muted the audio. She had been a commentator for Federation sports before the ban. They had fired her 6 months ago for being too critical of the declining quality. She was not the only one who noticed. Viewership numbers told the truth. Federation Sports had lost 40% of their audience in just 2 years. Event after event saw empty seats and low streaming numbers. The thermal games on Ignis had once been the crown jewel of galactic sports. It was a 4-day endurance competition on a volcanic world. Athletes had to navigate extreme heat, poisonous gases, and unstable ground. When humans competed, it was the most watched event in the galaxy. This year, they shortened it to 2 days. They also added more rest periods and safety zones. The organizers said it was to ensure athlete well-being. Everyone knew the real reason. Without humans, no one wanted to push through the full 4 days. Dong-hyun, the former coach, watched the thermal games from his new home on Earth. He had retired from coaching after the ban. No species wanted a human coach anymore. They said human training methods were too harsh. They are making it easier because they cannot handle difficult, he said to his wife. Humans were not better athletes. We were better at suffering. That made everyone else suffer to keep up. Now that we are gone, they choose comfort. His wife, also a former athlete, nodded. I heard that injuries in Federation sports are down 90%. Of course they are, Dong-hyun said. No one is pushing hard enough to get injured. He was right. Medical reports showed dramatic decreases in sports injuries across all species. The Federation celebrated this as proof that human participation had been dangerous and unnecessary, but they ignored the other statistics. Athletic performance was declining. Records were not being broken anymore. In fact, many events had stopped tracking records altogether. They said it was to reduce pressure on athletes. Yuna, the sports doctor, had published a research paper about this phenomenon. She called it the human effect. Her data showed that human participation had elevated the performance of all species by an average of 30%. When humans competed, everyone trained harder. Everyone pushed further. Everyone wanted to prove they could match the humans. Now that humans were gone, that motivation had disappeared. The Federation dismissed her paper. They said she was biased because she was human. They said her data was flawed. But they could not dismiss the viewership numbers or the declining ticket sales. In the 3rd year after the ban, the prestigious Stellar Combat League dissolved. It had been the premier team-based strategy sport for 100 years. Human teams had dominated it for the last decade. Without humans, the league could not maintain interest or funding. 3 more major leagues folded in the following months. Jiwoo started an underground commentary network for the human-only games in frontier space. She had 10 million subscribers within weeks. Most of them were not human. Beings from across the galaxy illegally streamed human competitions because Federation sports had become boring. A young human athlete named Sung-ho was becoming famous in these underground leagues. He was 19 years old and had never competed in official Federation sports. He had been too young when the ban started. But in the frontier leagues, he was spectacular. Sung-ho competed in aerial combat sports. Athletes flew with jetpacks through obstacle courses while trying to tag opponents. It required reflexes, strategy, and courage. Sung-ho had all 3. In one famous match, his jetpack malfunctioned at the highest point of the course. He fell 30 meters before getting it restarted. Most athletes would have withdrawn to the medical center. Sung-ho finished the course and won the match. Why did you keep going? A reporter asked him afterward. Because I was not dead yet, Sung-ho said. If I can move, I can compete. The clip went viral across the galaxy. Millions of beings watched this teenager demonstrate the human philosophy of sports. Never quit until you absolutely cannot continue. In Federation sports, athletes withdrew from competitions for minor discomfort. A pulled muscle meant weeks of rest. A collision meant immediate medical evaluation and likely withdrawal. Hana watched all of this from her apartment on Earth. She was 30 years old now and officially retired. Her knees had finally given out after years of abuse. She could barely walk some days, but she kept training. She could not compete officially, but the frontier leagues had no rules against injured athletes. If she could move, she could race. She contacted Sung-ho through the underground network. I want to race in the Death Canyon Run, she said. The Death Canyon Run was the most dangerous course in frontier sports. It went through a narrow canyon with 0 gravity and random debris. 3 humans had been hospitalized from it already. No one had finished it in under an hour. Your knees will not survive it, Sung-ho said. I know, Hana replied. But I need to race one more time. Sung Ho understood. All real athletes understood. Competition was not about safety. It was about testing yourself against the hardest challenges. The Death Canyon run happened 2 weeks later. Hana barely qualified for it. She was the oldest racer by 8 years. During the race, she fell behind quickly. Her knees screamed with pain. She ignored them. At the halfway point, a piece of debris hit her helmet and cracked it. She sealed the crack with emergency tape and kept going. One of her knees gave out completely at the 3/4 mark. She dragged herself forward with her arms. She finished in 73 minutes. Not the fastest time. But she finished. When she crossed the line, she collapsed. Medical teams rushed to her. She waved them away and sat up. Blood ran from her nose. Her legs would not support her weight. She smiled anyway. Still got it, she said. 2 billion beings across the galaxy watched that illegal stream. It was more viewers than the Federation's Centennial Games had drawn the week before. In his office on the Federation station, Vex the official read the viewing statistics. His claws trembled with rage. Humans were supposed to be gone. Yet they were more popular than ever. He watched a clip of Hana crossing the finish line on broken knees. He did not understand it. Why would someone hurt themselves so badly for a race that meant nothing? There were no official records, no Federation recognition, no prize money worth mentioning. But Hana was not racing for any of those things. She was racing because she was a competitor. That was what Vex could not understand. Across the galaxy, other officials were starting to realize the same thing. They had not banned human athletes. They had banned the spirit of competition itself. And without that spirit, sports meant nothing. The decline continued. More leagues closed. More events were canceled. The Federation was losing money at an alarming rate. In the 4th year after the ban, even the diehard supporters of the ban began to worry. They had wanted fair sports. They had gotten boring sports instead. A message began spreading through underground channels. It started with Jiwoo's commentary but grew beyond her. Athletes from other species began sharing it. The message was simple. We forgot that humans don't play sports to win. They play to prove something, and watching them prove it made us want to prove something too. The Federation tried to ignore it, but the empty stadiums and canceled leagues made that impossible. Something had to change. The question was whether they would admit their mistake before galactic sports died completely. 5 years had passed since the ban. The Galactic Sports Federation was dying. A human businessman named Kyung-soo read the financial reports with satisfaction. The Federation had lost 80% of its revenue. 60% of professional leagues had shut down completely. Equipment manufacturers were going bankrupt. Meanwhile, his company was thriving. Kyung-soo had created the Frontier Athletic League 5 years ago. It operated in unregulated space beyond Federation control. Only humans could compete in it. At first, people thought he was crazy. Who would watch sports that only one species played? Billions of beings, it turned out. The Frontier Athletic League now had larger viewership numbers than the Federation. They streamed to every corner of the galaxy. Technically, it was illegal to watch in Federation space, but no one enforced that law. Everyone was watching. Kyung-soo sat in his office on a Frontier station and smiled. He had been right. People did not want fair sports. They wanted exciting sports, and humans provided excitement better than anyone else. His assistant brought him the latest numbers. The Death Valley Marathon had 3 billion viewers, she said. That is more than the Federation's entire season combined. Kyung-soo nodded. He was not surprised. The Death Valley Marathon was brutal. 90 kilometers through a superheated desert with no shade and limited water stations. 6 humans had collapsed during it. 2 had been hospitalized. The winner, a human woman named Mira, had finished in 4 hours and 12 minutes. She had done it despite suffering heat exhaustion at the 70-kilometer mark. She had vomited twice in the last 10 kilometers. She had crossed the finish line, given one fist pump to the camera, and then passed out. That was the moment that went viral. Not a polite victory celebration. Not a careful interview. Just pure, raw exhaustion from giving everything. Federation sports never showed moments like that anymore. Their athletes finished races looking fresh and comfortable. It was professional. It was safe. It was completely uninteresting. On the Federation's central station, emergency meetings were happening daily now. The Centennial Games were scheduled to start in 2 months. It was the most prestigious event in galactic sports, held once every 10 years. Advance ticket sales were terrible. They had sold less than 20% of available seats. Streaming projections were even worse. Admiral Kor, the new Federation chairman, reviewed the reports with growing despair. He had not been in charge when humans were banned. He had inherited this disaster. "We are going bankrupt," his financial advisor said. "The Centennial Games will lose money. We cannot afford to run them." "We have to run them," Admiral Kor said. "If we cancel the Centennial Games, the Federation is finished." "The Federation is already finished," the advisor replied. "We are just refusing to admit it." Admiral Kor knew this was true, but he had to try something. He sent messages to every member species. He begged them to promote the games. He offered discounted tickets. He promised new and exciting events. Nothing worked. The Centennial Games began with half-empty stadiums. The opening ceremony was embarrassing. Performers went through their routines to scattered applause. The torch lighting happened with no real fanfare. Jiwoo watched from her apartment and felt sad. She remembered the last Centennial Games. The stadium had been packed. The energy had been incredible. Humans had competed alongside 47 other species in a celebration of athletic achievement. Now it looked like a funeral. The first week of competition confirmed everyone's fears. The events were technically well executed. Athletes followed all the rules. No one got hurt. No records were broken. Nothing memorable happened. Then came the relay race. The relay was the crown jewel of the Centennial Games. 4-person teams raced through a dangerous asteroid field, passing a beacon between team members. It normally took about 3 hours and featured spectacular flying, close calls, and dramatic momentum shifts. This year, something different happened. All 8 teams chose the safe route around the asteroid field instead of through it. The race became a simple endurance test with no danger and no excitement. Athletes flew in careful formation, avoiding anything risky. At the 2-hour mark, a Draconid team was leading. Their anchor leg was a young pilot named Kral. He was the nephew of Vex, the official who had pushed for the human ban. Kral had trained his entire life for this moment. He was flying the safest route, maintaining his lead, when suddenly he stopped. His ship hovered in empty space. The other teams flew past him. Commentators were confused. Had he suffered a mechanical failure? Was he injured? Then Kral spoke over the open channel. "What is the point?" he asked. "Repeat that?" His team captain responded. "What is the point of this race?" Kral said. "We are not racing. We are just flying. There is no challenge, no test. We take the safe path, avoid all danger, and call ourselves athletes. But we are not athletes. We are just beings who move through space." He dropped out of the race. His ship turned and flew back to the station. His team captain was furious. The Federation was horrified. They demanded explanations and punishments, but Kral had already left the station. He released a video statement that spread across the galaxy in hours. "I grew up watching human athletes," Kral said in the video. "I watched them push past pain and fear. I watched them take risks that terrified me. I wanted to be like them, strong, brave, determined. That is why I became a pilot." He looked directly at the camera. "But humans are gone now. And I realize I was never actually trying to be strong or brave. I was just going through motions. Today's race proved it. When faced with real danger, we all chose the safe path. Because that is what we do now. We are safe. We are comfortable. We are boring." The video ended with Kral saying 6 words. "I want the humans to return." The statement exploded across social media. Within hours, millions of beings were sharing it. Athletes from dozens of species posted their own videos agreeing with Kral. "Sports used to mean something," an Aquarian swimmer said in her video. "Now it is just exercise with cameras." "I became an athlete to test myself," an insect pilot said. But there are no tests anymore, just performances. The Federation tried to contain the situation. They issued statements about the importance of safe sport. They emphasized declining injury rates. They talked about participation and community. No one cared. Meanwhile, in frontier space, Hana was preparing for another run. Her knees were worse than ever. She needed assistance to walk most days, but she could still compete if she ignored the pain. The event was the Death Canyon Run again. She had done it twice before. This time the course was even harder. They had added new obstacles and removed some safety zones. Sung-ho tried to talk her out of it. You will destroy your knees completely, he said. They are already destroyed, Hana said. Might as well use them while they still work. The race happened 3 days after Kral's statement. Hana was competing against 14 other humans, all younger and healthier than her. She finished in 7th place. Not impressive, but the way she finished was, her left knee gave out completely at the 80% mark. She could not walk. She dragged herself forward using her arms and one good leg. It took her 40 minutes to cover the last kilometer. When she crossed the finish line, she was bleeding from multiple scrapes. Her hands were torn from pulling herself across rough surfaces. She could not stand without help. The illegal stream of that race had 3 billion viewers, more than any single event in Centennial Games history, including when humans competed. Kyung-soo watched it and knew the moment had come. He sent a message to Admiral Kor at the Federation. The message was simple. Your games are dying. Our games are thriving. Perhaps we should talk. On the Federation station, Admiral Kor read the message. He looked at the latest viewership numbers. He looked at the financial projections. He looked at the empty seats in the Centennial Games stadiums. He knew what he had to do. Vex, the official, stormed into Admiral Kor's office the next morning. Tell me you are not considering this, he demanded. I am not just considering it, Admiral Kor said. I am doing it. We are sending a delegation to Earth. They banned themselves by being too good. Vex roared. No, Admiral Kor said quietly. We banned them because we were embarrassed by how much better they were. And now we are paying the price. Sports without competition is just movement, and no one wants to watch that. He stood up and looked at Vex directly. The human ban was wrong. It has nearly destroyed galactic sports. And I'm going to fix it, even if that means admitting we made a terrible mistake. Vex left the office in rage, but he knew it was over. The Federation was going to invite humans back. The only question was whether humans would accept. 6 years after the ban, a Federation ship landed on Earth for the first time since the separation. Admiral Kor stepped off the ship with a delegation of 12 officials from various species. Mora, the Aquarian ambassador, was with him. She had voted for the ban 6 years ago. Now she was here to apologize for it. They were taken to a meeting facility in Seoul. The building was simple and functional, nothing like the grand Federation halls. Human representatives waited for them in a plain conference room. Taemin was there. He was 35 years old now, older and scarred from years of competition. He sat quietly watching the aliens enter. Next to him was Ji-woo, now the spokeswoman for human athletes. Dong-hyun, the coach, sat across from them. Yuna, the doctor, was there too. And in the corner, arms crossed, stood Kyung-soo. His Frontier Athletic League had become more popular than the Federation itself. He had no reason to cooperate with them. Admiral Kor sat down and spoke carefully. We come to offer an apology, he said. The ban was a mistake. We see that now. Galactic sports are dying without human participation. You mean your profits are dying, Kyung-soo said. Sports are doing fine in frontier space. Your sports serve only humans, Mora said through her translator. The Federation served all species together. That unity was valuable. Unity? Ji-woo laughed. You banned us because we were better than you. That is not unity. That is exclusion. We were wrong, Admiral Kor said. He said it simply with no excuses. We prioritized fairness over excellence. We chose comfort over competition. The result has been catastrophic. He pushed a data pad across the table. These are the viewership numbers, the revenue losses, the closed leagues, the canceled events. In 6 years, we have destroyed what took centuries to build. Taemin picked up the data pad. He scrolled through it without expression. Then he set it down. What do you want? He asked. We want to end the ban, Admiral Kor said. We want human athletes to return to Federation sports. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Dong-hyun spoke. And what has changed? 6 years ago, you said we had unfair advantages, that we were too strong, too fast, too willing to endure pain. Are we suddenly fair now? No, Admiral Kor admitted. You still have all those advantages. But we understand now that those advantages made sports better, not worse. You pushed every species to improve. You set standards that made everyone train harder. Without you, we have standards at all. Pretty words, Kyung-soo said. But why should we come back? The Frontier Athletic League is profitable. We control our own destiny. We compete on our own terms. Because you are isolating yourselves, Mora said. The Frontier Leagues serve only humans. You compete against each other, but you are not part of the galactic community anymore. The galactic community rejected us, Jiwoo said. Yes, Mora said, and we were wrong to do so. I voted for the ban. I believed it was necessary for fairness. I did not understand that fairness without excellence is meaningless. I apologize for my vote. I apologize for my species' role in this. Her translator could not capture emotion, but her body language showed genuine regret. Several other delegates added their own apologies. Taemin listened to all of it. Then he stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the city. I trained my whole life to compete in the Federation, he said quietly. I won championships. I set records. I gave everything to those games. Then you told me I was not welcome anymore. You said I had unfair advantages, as if I chose to be born human. He turned back to face them. Now you want me to return, but I am 35 years old. My prime years are gone. You took those from me. I know, Admiral Kor said, and we cannot give them back. But we can give you the opportunity to compete again, to show that human athletes still have what made them great. Some of us never stopped competing, Hana said from the doorway. No one had seen her enter. She walked with a severe limp, her destroyed knees barely supporting her weight. She crossed the room and sat down next to Taemin. The Federation banned us, but they could not stop us from being athletes. We built new leagues. We found new challenges. We kept competing because that is what we do. And you suffered for it, Yuna said, gesturing at Hana's legs. You destroyed your body for illegal races with no medical support. I destroyed my body doing what I love, Hana said. That was my choice. Admiral Kor looked at the assembled humans. We propose the Redemption Games, he said. A special competition. Human athletes against the current Federation champions. If humans win, the ban is lifted permanently. If humans lose, the ban becomes permanent and cannot be challenged again. You want us to prove ourselves worthy, Donghyun said. Again. Yes, Admiral Kor said honestly. The Federation needs to see that human participation improves sports, not ruins them. A demonstration will convince them better than any argument. Kyung-soo stood up. This is a trap. If we lose, we are banned forever. If we win, we return to your control. Either way, we lose the independence we have built. Then propose counter-terms, Admiral Kor said. The humans looked at each other. They had not discussed this beforehand. The Federation's visit had been a surprise. Finally, Taemin spoke. If we win, humans return to the Federation. But we also get seats on the governing council. We get input on rules and safety standards. We get treated as equals, not as problems to be managed. Agreed, Admiral Kor said immediately. And the Frontier Athletic League continues, Kyung-soo added. We do not dissolve it. It operates alongside Federation sports. Humans can choose which leagues to compete in. Admiral Kor hesitated. That will create competing organizations. Good, Kyung-soo said. Competition improves things. You should know that by now. Admiral Kor smiled slightly. Agreed. One more thing, Hana said. She stood up painfully. Human coaches will be available to train athletes from other species. If you want to learn how we push past limits, we will teach you. But you have to actually want to learn. Agreed, Admiral Kor said. Mora spoke up. And if you lose the Redemption Games? The humans were quiet for a moment. Finally, Jiwoo answered. If we lose, we stay in frontier space. The ban becomes permanent. But honestly, we do not think we will lose. You are older now, Mora said. Past your prime. The current Federation champions are young and well-trained. Taemin smiled. It was not a friendly smile. You still do not understand us. Age does not matter as much as will. And we have more will than any of your young champions. We will see, Admiral Kor said. He stood up and extended his hand in the human custom. The Redemption Games will be held in 3 months at Neutral Station Olympus. 5 days, 10 events. We will announce the competitions next week. Taemin shook his hand. We will be there. After the Federation delegates left, the humans sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Kyung-soo spoke. Are we actually doing this? Going back to them? We are not going back to them, Taemin said. We are going back to galactic sports. There is a difference. Can we win? Donghyun asked. You heard them. We are older. Past prime, the current champions have been training for years. They have been training in comfort, Hana said. We have been training in pain. There is a difference. Jiwoo pulled up a holographic display. We need to select our team carefully. The events will test different skills. We need specialists. I will compete in graviton ball, Taemin said. That is non-negotiable. Your shoulder, Yuna warned. Is fine, Taemin lied. His shoulder hurt constantly. He ignored it like he ignored everything else. I want the void marathon, Hana said. Your knees, Yuna said. Are fine, Hana lied. Her knees were not fine. She did not care. Over the next 3 hours, they selected their team. Taemin and Hana for individual events, Sungho for aerial combat, Mira for strategy events, 4 others for various specialties. It was a small team, only 8 humans. They would compete against the best athletes from 47 species. They were older, injured, and had not trained in Federation facilities for 6 years, but they were human. And that meant something. 3 months, Donghyun said. We train harder than we have ever trained. We push past every limit. We show them what they have been missing. No, Taemin said. We show them what they threw away. Then we take it back. The redemption games were announced the next day. The galaxy responded with mixed emotions. Some beings were excited to see human athletes return. Others were angry that the ban might be lifted. But everyone agreed on one thing. They would watch. 3 billion people registered to stream the games within 24 hours. The humans had 3 months to prepare. 3 months to prove they still had what made them special. 3 months to show the galaxy what real competition looked like. Neutral Station Olympus orbited a dead star at the edge of known space. It was built specifically for the redemption games. Neutral territory where no species had advantage. Taemin arrived 3 days before competition began. His shoulder ached from the journey. He ignored it and went straight to the training facility. The Federation champions were already there. Young athletes from dozens of species, all in peak condition. They watched Taemin enter with curiosity and some contempt. He was old by athletic standards. His body showed scars from years of brutal competition. Kral, the Draconid pilot who had quit mid-race at the Centennial Games, approached him. I wanted to meet you, Kral said. I have watched recordings of your competitions. You are the reason I became an athlete. And you are the reason we are here, Taemin said. Your statement changed everything. I only said what everyone was thinking, Kral said. Sports without challenge is not sports. It is just movement. They talked for a few minutes. Kral would not be competing. He had quit professional sports after his public resignation, but he had come to watch. Can you win? Kral asked. Yes, Taemin said simply. But you are older. They are in their prime, Taemin smiled. Being in your prime means you are at your physical peak. But competition is not just physical. It is mental. And mentally, we have never stopped being in our prime. Hana arrived the next day. Her knees were wrapped in heavy braces. She could barely walk without assistance. The Federation medical staff took one look at her and recommended she withdraw. Not a chance, Hana said. The 10 events were announced. 5 individual competitions, 5 team events. Taemin would compete in graviton ball, Hana in the void marathon, Sungho in aerial combat, Mira in the strategy challenge. 4 other humans would compete in the remaining events. The galaxy watched. 4 billion beings were streaming when the games began. Day 1 started with the sprint race, a straightforward contest of speed across 2 kilometers of varied terrain. The human competitor, a young man named Jaemin, was fast but not exceptional. He finished 3rd. The commentators immediately declared human dominance to be a myth. They are past their prime, one said. The current generation of athletes has surpassed them. Day 1 ended with humans winning 1 event and losing 2. The Federation athletes celebrated. They had been worried, but humans seemed beatable. Day 2 was worse for humans. Taemin competed in the first round of graviton ball. His opponent was Vex's nephew, the same Draconid who was supposed to win at the Centennial Games before the relay disaster. The young Draconid was incredible. Faster than Vex had been, stronger, more technical. He had studied every human technique and developed counters for them. Taemin lost the first 2 periods badly. His shoulder was screaming. He was too slow. The Draconid scored almost at will. In the break before the 3rd period, Donghyun came to the bench. You need to withdraw, the coach said. Your shoulder cannot take this. No, Taemin said. You are losing badly. There is no shame in stopping. There is shame in quitting, Taemin said. He stood up and walked back onto the field. The 3rd period went no better. The Draconid scored twice more. The crowd was chanting his name. Human dominance was officially over. Then in the fourth period, something changed. Timon was down by 9 points with 5 minutes remaining. An impossible deficit. Most athletes would have accepted defeat and played conservatively to avoid further injury. Timon smiled. That smile confused the Draconid. Why was his opponent smiling? He was losing. He was hurt. His career was essentially over. But Timon was not smiling because he thought he could win. He was smiling because he remembered why he competed. Not for victories, not for records, but for the fight itself. He threw himself into the game with complete abandon. His shoulder was destroyed. He did not care. He was too old. He did not care. He was losing. He did not care. He scored 4 points in 2 minutes through sheer reckless aggression. The Draconid tried to match him but could not understand this mentality. This human was hurt and losing, yet he was playing harder than when he was winning. With 1 minute left, Timon scored again. The deficit was 4 points. Still impossible. 30 seconds left. Timon scored. 2 points down. The Draconid was panicking now. This should not be happening. He was better. He was younger. He had prepared for everything, but he had not prepared for an opponent who cared more about the fight than the outcome. 4 seconds left. Timon caught the ball with his ruined shoulder. He could not lift his arm properly, so he threw with his offhand an awkward, desperate shot. The ball curved through 2 gravity zones and entered the goal as time expired. Tie game. Overtime. The stadium erupted. 4 billion beings watching the stream were suddenly paying very close attention. Overtime in Graviton Ball was sudden death. First point wins. The Draconid had youth and health. Timon could barely move his right arm. They faced off at center field. The ball dropped. Timon did not try to catch it. He could not. Instead, he threw his body at the Draconid, a completely legal but rarely used tactic. They collided hard. Both bounced away from the ball, but Timon recovered faster. Not because he was quicker, but because he expected the pain. The Draconid was stunned by the impact. Timon grabbed the ball with his left hand and threw it toward the goal. It was not a good throw. It wobbled. It moved slowly through the gravity fields, but the Draconid was still recovering. He reached for the ball too late. The ball entered the goal. Timon won. He collapsed immediately. Medical teams rushed onto the field. His shoulder was completely destroyed. He would need surgery. Probably multiple surgeries. His competitive career was likely over for real this time, but he had won. And in that moment, the entire galaxy remembered what human athletes were. Day 3 started with Hana's event. The Void Marathon was a race through an obstacle course in space. 90 kilometers with no gravity and dozens of hazards. Hana was competing against 8 of the fastest endurance athletes in the galaxy. All of them were younger. All of them were healthier. For the first 40 kilometers, Hana was in last place. Her knee braces slowed her movement. She could not push off properly. Other racers pulled ahead easily. The commentators wrote her off. A valiant effort from the retired champion, one said. But her body cannot compete anymore. At the 50-kilometer mark, something happened. The human spectators in the stands began chanting Hana's name. Not because she was winning, because she was refusing to quit. The sound reached her through her helmet radio. Other racers could hear it too. Hana did not speed up. She could not. Her knees would not allow it. But she did not slow down either. She maintained her painful, awkward pace while the other racers moved ahead. At 60 kilometers, one of the lead racers looked back. Hana was still coming, slow but steady, never stopping. Something about that image got into the racer's head. This human was old and injured, yet she kept going. Why? There was no shame in stopping. She had already proved her toughness. But Hana did not stop. At 70 kilometers, 2 racers withdrew with minor injuries. Nothing serious, just pulled muscles and fatigue. They chose not to risk further damage. Hana kept going. At 80 kilometers, Hana was in 5th place. Not because she had sped up, but because other racers had slowed down. They were tired. They were hurting. They were questioning why they were pushing so hard. Hana never questioned it. She just moved forward. At 85 kilometers, she was in 3rd place. The 2 racers ahead of her were fighting for 1st. They were so focused on each other that they did not notice the human slowly closing the distance. With 2 kilometers left, Hana was in second place. The leader was a full kilometer ahead. Too far to catch, but the leader made a mistake. He looked back and saw Hana still coming, still refusing to quit despite everything. The leader panicked. This human was supposed to be finished. Her knees were destroyed. She should have withdrawn hours ago. Yet here she was, bloody and broken but still racing. The leader sped up too much and clipped an obstacle. A minor collision barely worth noting, but it cost him 30 seconds. Hana passed him with 500 meters to go. She won by 40 seconds. When she crossed the finish line, she could not stand. Her knees had given out completely. She would need artificial replacements. Her racing career was absolutely over, but she had won, and more importantly, she had shown every racer in the galaxy what human endurance really meant. Day 3 ended with humans winning 3 events. The Federation athletes were shaken. They had expected to dominate. Instead, they were being psychologically destroyed by opponents who refused to accept defeat. Day 4 was the team events. Mira competed in the strategy challenge, a complex game requiring quick thinking and adaptation. Her team included 3 other humans against the Federation's best strategic athletes. Mira's team lost the first round badly. The Federation team had studied human tactics and prepared counters. So Mira threw out every human tactic and invented completely new strategies mid-game. The Federation team could not adapt. They had prepared for known approaches, not for improvisation. Mira's team won the challenge. Sung Ho competed in aerial combat. His opponent was the current champion, a pilot with a perfect record. Young, fast, and technically brilliant. For 3 rounds, they were evenly matched. Then Sung Ho's jetpack.